You've got a powerful banker, a financial scheme worth tens of billions, and a super dramatic arrest that has absolutely shaken Brazil's entire financial world. So today, we're going to dive deep into the massive scandal surrounding the collapse of Banco Master.
So, who's at the very center of this whole storm? Well, it's one man, Daniel Vorcaro. He was the banker, the main driving force behind the now defunct Banco Master. But, this isn't just about one guy. We're talking about a financial fraud on a scale that is just staggering. It's so big, investigators are still trying to get their heads around the whole thing. And what brought this whole story roaring back into the headlines recently? Well, it was a dramatic second arrest back in early March 2026. And that single event, it signaled a huge, major, new phase in this entire investigation. Okay, so let's start right there with that recent chapter, the dramatic rearrest of the main guy, Daniel Vorcaro. So, back in early March of 2026, Vorcaro was taken back into custody. And why? Because the federal police had just uncovered some really compelling new evidence. We're talking obstruction of justice, money laundering, and bribery. But here's the part that tells you just how serious this has all become. The arrest order? It didn't come from some local or lower court. No, it came directly from Brazil's highest court, the Supreme Federal Tribunal. That just shows you how high the stakes are right now. And look, this new evidence, it's really just one piece of a much, much bigger puzzle. It all connects back to the core investigation, which is looking into a fraud that is just truly massive. The official name for the whole investigation is Operation Zero Compliance. I mean, you gotta love it, right? That name alone pretty much tells you everything you need to know about what the authorities are alleging here, that this bank was basically operating with a complete and total disregard for, well, any of the rules. And when we talk about the scale of this thing, the numbers are just mind-boggling. Seriously, authorities think the financial hole left behind could be in the tens of billions of reais. And a loss that huge? Wow. It doesn't just hurt the people who invested. It sends a shockwave of distrust through the entire financial system. Okay, a number that big is honestly hard to even wrap your head around. So it brings up the obvious question, right? How on earth could a scheme like this even work? Well, investigators think it followed a pretty clear three-step playbook. Step 1, issue fake securities. We're talking financial products that had basically no real value, no backing whatsoever. Step 2, use these totally worthless products to lure in billions in cash from investors who had no idea what was going on. And then, the absolutely crucial final step. Allegedly, bribe officials to just look the other way. To make sure the whole operation didn't get shut down. So how exactly do they get all those investors on board? One of the main tactics was a classic red flag. They were offering investment returns that were way above the market average. It was one of those promises that just seems too good to be true, and it was designed specifically to pull in huge amounts of money fast. But it's becoming crystal clear that this was no one-man show. Not at all. The investigation is now uncovering this vast, sprawling network of alleged accomplices. And this is where it gets particularly sinister. The investigation uncovered this shadowy internal group they nicknamed a Turma, which basically means the crew. And what was their alleged job? To monitor adversaries, collect data on them, and intimidate anyone who got too close. And that includes journalists who were just trying to report on what the bank was up to. And the alleged corruption didn't stop there, not by a long shot. It may have reached into the very institutions that are supposed to prevent this kind of fraud. So on one side, you've got investigators who suspect that central bank officials were feeding privileged info to Vorcaro's group in exchange for cash. And on the other side, seized phones have turned up messages that allegedly name influential political figures. This suggests the rot might go deep into the country's power structure. So the really crucial point to get here is that this case has just exploded. It's way beyond simple financial fraud now. The list of additional suspected crimes is getting pretty long. We're talking money laundering, running a criminal organization, illegal spying, using shell companies to hide money. It's a whole complex web of interconnected criminal stuff. Okay, so with the bank totally collapsed and a scheme this huge, what's the fallout been? And maybe more importantly, where does the investigation even go from here? Let's just quickly look at how fast all of this escalated, right? So in November 2025, the central bank finally steps in and liquidates Banco Master, just shuts it down completely, citing serious financial irregularities. That move set the stage for Vorcaro's big, dramatic rearrest in March 2026. And as for right now, the investigation is very, very much ongoing. We're expecting a lot more evidence and testimony to come out. In the meantime, what about all that money? Well, to try and claw back at least some of these staggering losses, the court has frozen billions of reais in assets that belong to the people involved. It's really become a race against the clock to try and recover as much of that cash as possible for all the victims.
And all of this, it really leads to the one big unanswered question, doesn't it? Just how wide is this scandal going to reach? I mean, as investigators keep digging through all those seized messages and more witnesses start coming forward, it seems almost certain that we haven't seen the full picture of this corrupt network just yet.
Just to put this all into perspective, some analysts are already calling this the biggest banking scandal in Brazil since the 1990s. Think about that. You have a powerful banker in jail, a major bank has completely collapsed, and this tangled web of corruption is slowly being unraveled, with possible links to the highest levels of both finance and politics. So what other secrets are still out there, waiting to be uncovered? Well, I guess that really is the billion real question.